So I was just out taking a random drive out in the country like I usually do, and I was thinking about what I could do for another video about my 2000 CLK320 Cabriolet. So it had 62,000 original miles on it. When I first got it, it just turned over 64,000 not long ago. When I first got it, it needed so the top would like slam down when you went to close it, and it wouldn't open by itself on the initial part. You actually had to push up on it and help it. So it turned out that problem was cables. There's cables that run right around this area. I don't know if you can see my finger, I can't look up right now. From the front under this cover to about the middle or close to the back, there's a little plastic grommet that it fits into, and then it screws in the front or bolts in. Anyway, put those in. Those were about 160 bucks. And then I was getting a loss of power with the occasional check engine light, and that pointed to a gas pedal position sensor, which was actually under the hood, and that was like 85 bucks, something like that. It only took like 5 or 10 minutes to put in. It was easy. Then a really common issue was my ABS, ESP, and BAS lights would come on. If I recall correctly, whenever those would come on, the cruise control would not work. So that was like 15 bucks, and that's a very common issue. The brake light switch, so that took, I don't know, 5-10 minutes to put in. And as a preventative, I changed out the transmission connector plug on the outside of the transmission, and I lost about a quart of transmission oil, but I had that quart, so that didn't really cost me anything. I put in a quart of AMS oil. It was tricky to do on this car because the exhaust kind of blocks the path, so I had to use kind of a long extension and a swivel to get it started, and it was kind of hard to get it started, but got it in there, got it done. Doesn't seem to be leaking. It wasn't really leaking, I just did it as a preventative. There might have been a little bit of seepage, but no real leaking or anything. So let's see, what else did I do? Oh yeah, and I changed the brake fluid. The last time that was done was in 2017. So it actually looked okay in the reservoir, but it was, by the time I pulled it out of the wheels, I have my own power bleeder that I got from Mercedes source. It was starting to get a little bit brown, so I got that done. So those are all the things that I did to it. I don't know, the brake fluid was 15 bucks maybe, something like that. And then of course the purchase price of the car and how I found it. Well, let's start with how I found it. It was actually kind of a bit lucky that I found it. I was just driving along the road, saw it sitting there with the for sale sign on it, and the for sale sign had 6,500 bucks on it, and it basically said it was a one-owner car, well-maintained, and all of that. So I called him up. I was the second person to look at it. He told me the other person to look at it was some drunk that really didn't have any money and was just kind of playing around. And I was the first actual serious person. So I took it for a spin. I know these cars pretty well. I didn't have to drive it very far to know that it's all there. and I asked him what the lowest he would take was, and he said 6250. I said, well, I want it. So that's actually, I believe, significantly below market for these. It's really nice. It has like a couple dings, dent on the hood, but it was garage kept. I don't believe it was ever driven in rain or snow. Maybe rain, but underneath it looks absolutely perfect, like it's 2 years old. It's crazy. There's no rust on any of the components under there. Yeah, it's actually remarkable the condition this thing's in. The top is really nice. So I think it actually saw very little time outside. Now I actually, unfortunately, have to keep it outside. I don't have storage. I keep my BMW in my one-car garage. So I am hoping that the sun doesn't erode this too much. I'm gonna wax it eventually, but I'd say all in, I'm still a bit under $7,000. And I think this car is worth every bit of 10 to 13. Originally, my intention was to flip it, but I actually rather like it, and we'll probably keep it for a while. I don't know how long exactly, but I don't have any immediate plans to sell it. It's really fun to drive. The other thing is it just passed West Virginia inspection. Everything passed with flying colors, except one of the rear tires was at 3/32, which is actually the bare minimum that they'll let you go for passing. So I'll keep my eye on it. It actually didn't look that bad to me just looking at it, because it's not really down to the wear bars. So I'm not sure. Maybe they mismeasured it or something, because he said the other one was 5/32. And this car is really well aligned. It tracks straight. I don't see any unusual wear on the tires or anything like that. Everything seems to wear pretty evenly. I mean, everything works. The cruise works, the air works, the cassette player works. It's a little flaky, but it works. The CD changer works. All the speakers, subwoofer, all that works. And heat works very well. The windows all work, except the driver's window is a little flaky sometimes. It helps if you have the door open when you raise or lower it. I actually forgot, I did buy one more part that it needs, but it hasn't been a priority. Actually, multiple parts. So one of them is the door stop for the driver's door. It just kind of flops open and doesn't really hold itself open. It has not really been an issue for me. I also bought the kit to remove the trim, like the bodywork kit, which I think will also help in some other things that I want to do on some of my other cars, where you have to kind of get into the plastic trim without damaging anything. And there is a slight oil leak. I suspect initially that it's coming from the valve cover gaskets. I did buy a couple valve cover gaskets, haven't gotten around to doing that. I mean, overall, basically, just a little bit of work that I did, and I've just been enjoying it. I think it's going to run a really long time. These 320s, I'll ignore that. I've got a bottle flopping around back there, a tea bottle. These 320s, the drivetrains are pretty much bulletproof. I went back through and traced the service history on the car, and it seems like he had the oil change at least every 10,000 miles, which if you're using the right oil, that's fine. I looked under the cap. You can't see a whole lot, but I didn't see any telltale signs of sludge or corrosion or anything like that. The oil that's in it right now it's a little brown, not bad. I do actually have the oil from another car that I never ended up changing the oil on, and I have the filter. It fits this one. Can't remember what car that was from. But yeah, so the moral of the story is there are good deals out there. You just got to keep your eyes open, and sometimes stuff pops up on Craigslist too. I'm always looking on Craigslist. I don't have Facebook, so I don't really get to see much there because they kind of block you from looking at it. I think maybe you can kind of look at it. You can't really contact anybody, so I don't see much on Facebook. The trick to getting the good ones on Craigslist is to be the first to call. So a lot of times I'll just sit there and refresh the screen every 5 minutes and try to be the first one to call. Or just keep your eyes open as you're driving around. Most areas, I'm guessing, will have like parking lots where people park cars for sale. We have a couple areas where I live where that's done. A lot of times also on these backcountry roads, you'll see people will stick a for sale sign in their car and park it in the middle of their yard. Yeah, that also happens pretty frequently. I've gotten some interesting cars that way as well. So yeah, happy hunting. I just wish I had more space. There's so many cars that pop up that I'm interested in that I just don't have the space for. I'm trying to work on a solution to that, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of good options around here for that. All right, well, everybody have a great day.